one step.
Yeah. So yesterday we discussed about different type of storage services provided. So some of the things which we have discussed is how to create a storage account and what are the types of storage accounts we have, what are the types of replications we have. So now that we understand that what are the kinds of replications, what are the kinds of storage we have, we'll try to create a new storage account and then we'll try to access this from our machine through Storage Explorer. That is a tool which you can use on your desktop. Instead of logging into Azure portal, instead of logging into that, we can start logging in from Storage Explorer and start configuring the storage. So let's create a new storage account. Storage account, create. So I am creating on a free subscription and the resource group is test SNIT, storage account name, Storage Explorer lab, and then I'm creating it in East US. And I've discussed about the performance tier, right? Yesterday, standard and premium. So we'll try to create a premium disk. Okay. So if I create a premium disk, we see this changes happening here, right? You see this? So hot and cool storage is not available for premium. It is only available for standard. So let's try to create a standard and see what it says. And general purpose V2 is the latest version of storage, right? So we'll try to select one. If there is no dependency on V1 storage, we'll always select V2. And replication type. So LRS, we discussed about ZRS and ZRS and RAGRS. So LRS is locally redundant, which has 3 copies in the same region, and ZRS is zone redundant. ZRS is zone redundant. That is, you will have 3 copies in different data centers in the same region. And zero redundant is 2 regions you will have three copies like East US and West US. These are 2 locations. So we'll have three copies in 2 regions. So like that, we'll try to create LRS for now, and then we'll create a hot storage. Cool and hot, we already know that hot is a performance tier. Cool is like if you are okay with the latency, you can select cool tier, and the costing will be high for the hot tier. Okay, click next. So this is available for all the public endpoints. So this is nothing but you are allowing the storage account to be accessible from all the public endpoints. So you can say you can allow these through some of the virtual networks. You can also do that. This is segregation or making it privately available or making it only available according to the choice, right? So private endpoints is nothing but you can add your endpoints through whatever the endpoints you have, you can add it in the sense only to particular VNets, right? So for now, we'll say public endpoint, click next, advanced, secure transfer required, will leave it default, blob soft delete will be disabling. So we also discussed about soft delete option, right? So what is soft delete option? It is nothing but once you accidentally delete a storage account, it still exists. The data will not be completely erased and it will be there for like a specified time. So you can set the specified time up to 365 days, right? And then what else? We'll leave it default and then click next. Tags we already know. This is for identification purpose. Why are we creating? Let's say Storage Explorer and version 1. So we are creating this to test the Storage Explorer, and this is the first time we are creating. That's the reason we said version 1. So that is getting deployed. Now we got to know what are the options we have during creating a storage account, right? We discussed about LRS, we discussed about replication types, we discussed about hot and cold tiers, we discussed about storage version V1 and V2, we discussed about standard and premium disk types, And we discussed a lot of things, and now it makes clear that while creating a storage account, what options we have to select, right? So this account has been created. Go to resource. Once the storage explorer is created, I'm sorry, once the storage account is created, you will have four types of services provided in the storage explorer. What are the four types of services provided? One is blob. The second one is file share. Blob is renamed as containers now. It is a placeholder for blob. And then the second one is a file share. Third one is table. Fourth one is queues, right? So in the container, we can store VHDs or any unstructured data, any kind of data. It's like JPEG files, videos, or VHDs, any kind of unstructured data. We can save in this. So in containers also we have blobs. We have three types of blobs. That is blob, page blob, and append blob. Blob is for large number of small items. Page blob is for random reads and writes, right? So append blob is nothing but if you do any changes, the existing block is not changed, but it will be appending the data to the existing block. So that is append blob. Excuse me. So let's go back, go to resource. And we have file share, which is a SMB file share, which we create. Anyone have performed this file share lab yesterday? Aditya, Venkat, Hasanti, Sai, Siddhavishnu. Anyone have performed the lab for the file share or the storage account? Did you guys have any roadblocks? Okay. Okay. So what are the tools we have for accessing this storage explorer? So these are the tools we have. So one of the tool is nothing but the storage explorer. So we can access the storage explorer not only by logging into the portal, but also through all these tools. The tools here, right? So let's go back and talk about Storage Explorer first. So a Storage Explorer is a GUI tool which you can use to access this storage account. So we can access the storage account through a couple of types. That is, one is with the access keys. Let me rub this and is this and then yeah. So one is with the access key. So let's say from the storage account, from the storage explorer, if you want to access this storage account, one option is through logging into your subscription. That is one way. And the second way is to through the access keys. So let's say you have 4 storage accounts. You only have to give access to user for one storage account. Then what you will do, you will give the keys only for that storage account and that will be populated, right? So the other option which you have is a shared access signature. Shared access signature is nothing but you will create a shared access signature and then you will share with the, you see this, you will share with the user. So only he'll be able to access this particular storage account once he's able to log in, right? So we'll see the differences once we go to Storage Explorer. So you can download the Storage Explorer from here. So this is one option where you can see the Storage Explorer. This is how you can see from the portal. But let's go to our desktop. I have already downloaded the Storage Explorer here. So let's say I want to access a particular storage. What I can do is add an account. So see this, what all options are available here. The first option is add a Azure account. So if you want to add all the storage accounts within your Azure, you have to select the first option. So that is either Azure or Azure China. That they have different Azures, but normally if you are not in China or Germany or US or any other regions, you can select for all the other regions, you can select Azure, right? So if you want to list all the storage accounts within your subscription, you add this account. So let's try adding the account. Click next. SNIT tech at hotmail.com. Right. There is one more chat. Let's see who's. I'm not able to understand. Just came to the class. Just on switch on the PC and went to drop my mother in office. Can you repeat it again? So I'm just trying to, Sai, I'm just trying to recap what we have discussed yesterday. And we are going to discuss about the Storage Explorer today. Storage Explorer is nothing but a GUI interface where you can access your storage accounts, which you have created in Azure from your desktop. So that is what we are trying to do now, right? Okay. So we'll give the password for this. Now it is added, right? So apply. So what all we can see is all the storage accounts which are listed. So let's go back to storage accounts here. So what all the storage accounts we have here is like 4 storage accounts. All the storage accounts will be visible in Storage Explorer. You can go ahead, you can access all the storage accounts. SNIT test is a blob which we have created, and this in this blob container we have created SNIT new container, and then in the test we already have created uploaded some images. So you can also download the images from here. See this? You can download the images from the Storage Explorer. So what all you can do from Azure portal, you can also do that from Storage Explorer. Storage Explorer is nothing but to upload or download files to Azure, or from Azure you can use Storage Explorer. It's just a tool which you can download onto your desktop to access the storage accounts which you are created in the Azure. So what else we can see? So this is the first option. So which we have created. Let's go back, remove this account and try to add it again. So what is the other option we have? Add resources via Azure Active Directory, which we do not have. Use connection strings. But for now, what we'll try to do is by using a SAS signature access. So if we add it with the signature access, shared access signature, we can only add one storage account. Let's see, let's go back and I'll try to share the SNIT shared access signature. So you have to just come to the storage account overview and shared access signature. So allow services, all these three, and then create a shared access signature. So in this shared access signature, what you have to copy is, if you want to give the blob access, let's see what we have created in this. So we already have created this, right? So let's give access to our blob services, containers, objects, shared access signature, and then I'll copy the blob URI. So I'll go back to the Storage Explorer and then I'll click next. What I'll do is I'll do this. So I'll just paste the URI. So all the information will be fetched from the URI itself. Click next, connect. So what I can see now is SNIT test, right? So I can see this one. So SNIT test, the storage account, SNIT test, I can see blob container. I can also see SNIT new container or test container where I can see all the images and then I can download any of the images, right? So this is about shared access signature, how you can connect with shared access signature with Storage Explorer. So you do have other options as well. Let's go here, add account. I can also use keys. Click next. So display name, I can copy the keys from the portal. Where I can find the keys for this? This is the access key, right? So I'll try to copy the key. I'll go back to the storage account and then I'll say key. Display name, test, and account name. Let's say test one. Use HTTP, or else I think we have to give 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's see this. Click next and connect. So this is how you can connect with the storage account. Is unable to do that because of the name. So file share, we can access the file shares. We can add different things like this. So let's go back and try to add the storage account or with Azure. If you want to add all the storage accounts, you just click next and it will be asking for a authentication. And I'll say snit tech@hotmail.com and the password. And if I add a Azure account, all the storage accounts will be listed. Apply, you can see all the storage accounts. So this is about Storage Explorer. So this is what we have discussed yesterday, how we can access the storage account with shared access signature. So what else we have discussed? We have, so this is where we have stopped yesterday about Azure Disk Encryption. So what is Azure Disk Encryption? So you have created a virtual machine and you have a disk created, right? So you have a disk created and then maybe tomorrow someone with your credentials logged into your account and then they have downloaded the VHD and you have all the critical data on that VHD, right? So he can upload it to his own cloud and he can start building a virtual machine and then he can access all the data on your machine. So which is a security breach, right? So let's say if we enable Azure disk encryption on that VHD, so he may be able to download it, but he may not be able to upload it onto his own cloud and access that data. It is like locking your resources. So they may not be able to unlock it. Only you will be able to unlock it with the decryption keys, right? So you got the difference, right? So only the person with the key will be able to unlock that or decrypt that, or if anyone else who doesn't have the keys try to access the data, they may not be able to get access to that data. So that is about Azure Disk Encryption. Allows you to encrypt your VM OS and data disk using BitLocker technology. So it uses BitLocker technology to encrypt the data. Integrated with Azure Key Vault to store and manage disk encryption keys and secrets. So in order to store or manage disk encryption keys, we use Azure Key Vault in order to store those keys. Or we can also upload our own keys if we want to manage with our own keys. Ensure that all data on the virtual machine's disks are encrypted at rest in your storage account. So whenever the data is written onto the storage account, it will be encrypted again. Support BIOK, that is nothing but bring your own key. Support BIOK to further safeguard the data encryption keys passphrase in your key vault. So either Azure can manage these encryption keys or it can generate the encryption keys, or you can bring your own keys and upload it to Azure and lock it yourself. That is two-way encryption. Either Azure can take care of your encryption keys or customer can bring their own keys and encrypt the data. Storage service encryption at rest automatically encrypts your data before persisting it to Azure account and decrypts the data before retrieval. So whenever the data is entering into the storage account from the customer, right, into Azure, it will be encrypted. So whenever the data is leaving the storage account while you're trying to pull the data, it will be decrypted again. Enable for all the new and existing storage accounts cannot be disabled. So it cannot be disabled. if we create a new storage account. Encryption is using 256-bit asynchronous key encryption, AES. So Microsoft managed keys. So that will be 256-bit encryption with a Microsoft managed key. So if you want to bring your own key, you can keep the bit encryption at your own pace. Automatically encrypt the data in both performance tiers, both deployment models, that is Azure ARM and classic models. And all the storage account services like blob, queue, table, and Azure files supports encryption. And there is no additional cost for this encryption types. So this is what I'm talking about. When you encrypt a data store, I'll take you to Azure portal. And I'll say encryption. So you see this encryption here. So you have two options here. One is Microsoft managed keys. That means Microsoft will generate the encryption keys, and then you can manage, or Microsoft can manage those keys. But if you want to bring your own keys, you can just click here, customer managed keys, and then you can enter the either URI or set the key vault. Key vault is a place where you can store your secrets and passwords, right? So that is like a bank locker where you can save everything. So either you can enter the own URI or you can select a key vault. So I don't have a key vault for now, but you can select a key vault for there, but you can create and you can use one for saving your encryption keys. That is about customer managed keys. But if Microsoft wants to manage the keys, you can select the first option. But this will be fine. If you want the encryption to be enabled, you can always select this, but there is a custom requirement. Then you can, if there is a company policy only to use customer managed keys, then you have to use this option. Let's go back. So this is the old URI, but now it changed to Azure managed or customer managed. Create your own encryption keys and store them in the Key Vault, or you can use Azure Key Vault APIs to generate encryption keys. Okay, customer keys gives more flexibility to so that you can create, rotate, disable, and define access control. So customer keys can give more access, in the sense you can define whom to give access and whom not to give the access. Custom keys also enables you to audit the encryption keys and use to protect your data. So this is about custom keys. Storage account firewall. So this is what we have discussed when we are trying to create a new storage account today, right? So storage account firewall is nothing but allowing a particular VNets or a networks to access your storage account. Let's say I want to access storage account from my computer. So I have to allow my IP in order to access the storage account if it is a privately accessible. But if I select public accessible, everyone can access the account. So I'll show you the difference. Let's go to storage account and click on network, firewall, and virtual network. So allow access from all networks. So this is the option which we have selected. So let's say if I want to allow access only through particular selected networks. So either I can add an existing virtual network here from here. So there are no VNets created in my account. So, or I can create a new VNet and give it access to the storage account. Or what I can do, I can add my client IP. That is nothing but my machine's IP to in order to access the storage account. That is nothing but IP address some 192.168.0.2. Maybe it is, if it is my IP address, I can add 192.168.0.2, and it will be in the CIDR, that is 24, or we can say 25. Let's say it's not a valid block. Okay, I think we have to give the entire subnet. So this is for the public IP. So let's see if I can give the public IP of my machine. Let's say IP config, and then I'll try to give the, I don't have a public IP. Okay, let's skip this, but we have to give the IP address of your machine and the subnet for that, and the denomination is 192.168. If you are giving a public IP dot 0 dot your subnet 0, and then CADF format. If it is 24, you can give 24, or if it is 16, you can give 16 in that. So this is how you can assign the IPs. And then here is where you have to allow trusted Microsoft services to access this storage account. If you want to allow only trusted Microsoft services to access this, like Storage Explorer, like any other API which is trusted by Microsoft, you have to check this option. Only then the Microsoft services will trusted Microsoft services will be allowed. This is a AZ103 question. So how can you allow access to your Microsoft trusted storage account networks? So we have to come and check this option into firewalls and networks in a storage account. This is a question from AZ103. So you have to go through all these options, and then when you're doing the labs, so that you will be clear about what you're doing. This card, I selected all the networks. I'll go back to this. When Azure Storage provides a layered security model, allowing you to secure a storage account to a specified set of networks by means of firewall rules. So I have already shown the firewall rules, which we have set up. When firewall rules are configured, only application from allowed network can access a storage account. Let's say you are in a DMZ location, and then only applications in that location can access your storage account. You can say only that particular network can access my storage account. You can give the particular VNet and then list out that particular VNet in the Azure account firewall, so that you can access that, so that only a particular application can access that. When calling from an allowed network, application continues to require authorization, example, valid access key or a SAS. So this is what we have used when we try to access the storage account from Storage Explorer, right? Must be configured in additional to virtual network service endpoints. So this is, we have already discussed in the lab. The next is storage account firewall benefits. What are the benefits of using a storage account firewall? Improved security, so no one else can access your storage apart from the VNets which you have listed. More control by granting access to traffic from specific Azure virtual networks. So you will have more control whom to access and whom not to access. And you can have a boundary to that storage account. Better flexibility by granting access to public internet IP address range, enabling connections from specified internet or on-prem clients. So you have on-prem client location and you want to access resource from Azure. So you can give the entire IP address, public IP address range of your on-prem, so that only your on-prem users can access the resources. Can be applied in to new or existing storage accounts. So this is what we have discussed already. Create, explore, and storage accounts and enable a storage account firewall. So we have created a storage account. We have done explore storage explorer, and then we have created different services in storage account. And then we also have did some configuration in Azure storage account firewall. So implementing Azure storage account, which we already did. So this is the, we have come to an end for a storage account, Azure storage account class. So any questions till now before I proceed with the Azure virtual machines topic? Am I going too deep, or am I going too fast? Are you guys able to understand? Do I have to go a little slow, or do you guys have any doubts till what we have discussed? Am I audible to you guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So any queries till now, guys? I just want to understand. Are you guys able to understand what we are trying to discuss? Because I see you guys are not coming up with any questions. I'm not sure you guys are doing those labs which I'm giving. So feel free to ask if there is any questions. So class should be more interactive when we are trying to deliver things. No questions? Okay. So I'll just give a minute or two. I'll just take a short break, or 2-minute break, and then we'll start with Azure Virtual Machine topic. Okay. Yes. Can we proceed from here to the next topic? What happened to Sai? He just joined and he left again. Yeah. So guys, let's start today's topic, that is Azure virtual machines. So we have discussed about storage. We have discussed about what are the services provided by Azure, and then we have discussed about how we can deploy things from ARM, that is Azure Resource Manager, and then we have discussed about Azure Storage today and how we can access storage through different tools like Azure Portal and then Storage Explorer and different means of tools. And then now we are going to discuss about how we can build a virtual machine and what are the types of virtual machines we have and how we can deploy from different options. What are the different options we have for deploying these virtual machines and what are the types of virtual machines we have? So this is the agenda. So we are going to discuss maybe one or two topics for today. Maybe I'll stretch a bit, and then we'll discuss about the other remaining topics maybe tomorrow. Okay. So today we'll be discussing about virtual machine overview and virtual machine image mobility and virtual machine disks. These are the three topics which we are going to discuss. So overview. Supports for key applications. So what are these Azure virtual machines and why we use this Azure virtual machines? So let's say we have some applications and we want to install that, and we need a server to get installed, right? So what we can do, we'll contact the cloud provider vendor, and then we'll ask him to provision some of the machines, and then we can install these applications. So this can be supported for a wide variety of applications, like let's say SQL databases or MongoDB or any kind of databases, SAP applications or any other applications. So it will be supported, these virtual machines or these machines can be supported for different operating systems like Windows, Linux, and CentOS, Ubuntu. And we do have different kind of application supportability and operating system supportability as well. So it support key server applications, disk and storage manageability. So it also provides compute plus storage as well. So let's say I want a virtual machine with OS disk of 120 GB and data disk of 2 terabytes. So I can easily provision, right? So I can easily go ahead and extend the disk size once the provision is done. That can be managed, right? So high availability feature. So we can also make this virtual machine highly available, making that, keeping that in a availability set, so that the availability rate of that virtual machine could be 99.95%. If you keep it in a availability set, if you keep it in a availability zone, it will be 99.99%. So that is the availability what Azure have promised, right? So that is about availability sets and availability zones. We are going to discuss about them as well in the next class, and integrate with compute platform as well as services, PaaS services. So integration with the compute platform as a service means, in the sense, Azure virtual machines can also make it highly available with the Azure platform as a service. That is web applications, or you can install web applications in PaaS and you can connect to Azure virtual machines. So it is integrated with PaaS applications as well. So Azure virtual machine workloads. What are the kinds of workloads we have? So you can keep development and test workloads, quickly provision and unprovision entire environment. Let's say you want 10 virtual machines today for development and testing. So you can provision it today, and by the end of the day, if your testing is done, you can delete those machines. So you don't need to bother about them. Okay, and you will only be costing for that 8 hours, which you are running applications in cloud, custom applications like CRM, CMS, and ERP and business intelligence. All these kind of applications can be run on cloud on these virtual machines. So hybrid applications that can span your data center and the cloud. So you can have applications, let's say you have 10 web servers on your on-prem, and your business is booming, and then you are having a lot of traffic hitting your web applications, and you want to expand, scale out, right? So you can scale out that additional 10 web applications, web servers on cloud. So you can increase your company's web application footprint onto your cloud, right? So that is about hybrid applications. In the sense, you will have your applications on prem, and also you will be having a set of applications on Azure, and it will be a extension to your on prem. That is hybrid application. And disaster recovery, infrastructure as a service based disaster recovery solutions. So you can also have high availability. Let's say your entire East US location is down on your cloud. So you can have a DR configured, that is Azure Site Recovery configured for these machines, and then you can bring those machines onto a different region within no time. That can be done. But in on-prem situation, if you have an entire disaster at your on-prem, entire office is down due to earthquake, so your data will be gone, right? So in those cases, you can have a DR site on Azure as well. You can configure that, and if your on-prem site is down, you can bring up those machines on Azure. That is about disaster recovery solution. What do I need to think before I create a virtual machine? So these are the things which you have to keep in mind before you create a virtual machine. The first one is the name of your application resource. That is nothing but the name of your virtual machine. It should be unique. You cannot give a same name to a virtual machine within a single resource group. Okay. And the location where you want to deploy your resource group, either it is East US or South India, Central India, or any other location. And the VM size, what is the resources you need, and in the sense how many CPUs, how much of a memory, and how much of a disk size you need on that virtual machine. And the limitations, the maximum number of VMs that can be created. So you have to see in that region what is the limitation of that. And OS disk and image, the operating system that the VM runs. So you have to be sure about whether it is Windows or Linux or any other operating system. Extensions, the configuration of a VM after it starts. So what are the application it has to run and what are the extensions it has to be installed. So you have to take care of that before you create a virtual
Ah,
related resources. The related
నాకు
resources that
పనుండాలి
VM needs. So either it
నాకు
is
పనుంది
needing a external disk or any other dependencies with the disks or data, you have to make sure. Tools to create and manage VMs. So how can I create a VM? So what are the ways I can create a VM, right? So first one is Azure portal. That is what we are using in every day in our classes. ARM templates. The other day I've already shown you how you can deploy a virtual machine through ARM templates through GitHub, or in Azure portal we have ARM templates, pre-templates, or through PowerShell. So Azure CLI, you can install through Azure CLI, Azure PowerShell, and client SDKs or REST APIs. These are the ways which you can install virtual machines. But mostly we'll do Azure portal, Azure ARM templates, and Azure CLI or PowerShell. Client SDKs and REST APIs are rarely used. So what are the benefits of Azure virtual machines? Get more choices, like you can get your more choices like Linux or Windows or Ubuntu or whatever the operating system you need. If it is supported by Azure, you can install it. Choose to be on-prem in the cloud or both. So you can keep some of the machines on-prem, you can keep some of the machines on cloud, and you can extend your on-prem infrastructure. So you can do that. Choose your own with virtual machine image or an image from your marketplace. Either you can bring your own virtual image, that is you can upload the VHD and you can create a image out of it, or you can use the existing images in cloud. So that is one option. Pay only for what you use. So whatever the, so let's say you have created a virtual machine at 9 a.m. today and use till 6 p.m. So you will be paying only for this 9 hours, pay as you go. So if you have finished your testing by afternoon, you can delete your virtual machines. So you will be paying only till then. So per second billing for the virtual machines. This is another question in your AZ 103 or 104 certification. So the virtual machines are built per second in Azure. Scale sets to what you need. Scale for 1000 to 1 to 1000 of virtual machine instances. Scale globally so that you're closer to where your customers are. Scaling is nothing but I've discussed about a Flipkart Big Billion sale the other day, right? So scaling is nothing but depending upon the demand, you're auto scaling your virtual machines or applications according to the demand. Let's say the CPU and memory of a virtual machine is consumed for like 70% for 10 minutes, more than 70% for 10 minutes. Then I'll say create a new machine to handle this load. So that is one of the example, right? So that is about scaling. You can scale to 1000 machines within a single resource group. And enhanced security and compliance will help you with the encryption. We have encryption of disks, encryption of virtual machines, protect virtual machines from virus and malware, select only specified networks to access, and meet regularly and compliance requirements. So that is about security and compliance. So you can give access only to the particular networks, you can encrypt the data so that no one can decrypt your data, or you can make it accessible only to a specified network, or you can also use Azure firewall to help protecting against phishing and malware attacks. Azure Hub. So you also have hub benefits, that is hybrid use benefits. If you can bring your own software license, that is for operating system license, you can save a lot of money. That is nothing but 49% of licensing cost will be reduced. Running cost will be reduced if you bring your own license. Let's say if you don't have a license, you created a virtual machine. It will be costing 100 rupees. So if you have your own license, then if you bring your own license, then it will be the virtual machine which is running on Azure can cost you only 51 rupees, because 49 rupees will be charged for the licensing. How you use with a EA subscription, enable this option during VM creation. I'll show you where we can use this option while we are creating a virtual machine. And then Azure reserved instances. I think we have a chat. Can you brief me on licensing? Please post your question. So Azure licensing is nothing but, so let's say you have your own license, right? You bought your own Windows licenses, right? So you already have your licenses, you already have your KMS server, that is nothing but key management server. Instead of Azure billing for the license and operating system and virtual machine, you can bring your own license and then you can apply it. By saying that I have my own license, you can save up to 49% of a running cost. Let's say for running a virtual machine, if it costs around $100, if you bring your own license and apply it, it will only cost around $51, because $49 is charged for your license of the resource which you are running. So does that clear? Is that clear, Aditya? Aditya? Okay. That means if I have a AD license, then I can bring that in Azure. Yeah, you can bring that. You can. That is what we are saying. So if you have any kind of license, you can bring that. Let's say you have a database license, SQL license. You can bring that and you can apply your own license. So that 49% of the cost will be saved. You can bring your Windows license. Windows have a license as well, right? So if you have your own license, you can bring that and you can apply your own license, so that you will not be charged for that. So let's say I'll show a license on my machine, right? So let me go to this PC. If I go to properties, this is my license product key. If you see this, this is my license, right? So if I have this kind of license, I can bring my own license and I can activate it on Azure instead of Azure giving me license. That is what I'm trying to say. And it can save up to a lot of money on your Azure billing. Yeah, let's see if okay. Okay, let me proceed. So next thing is we are going to discuss about reserved instances. Let's say we are going with a pay as you go model, but we want to run that machine for a year. So let's say we want to run that machine for a year. So let's say if I want to run that continuously for a year, it's a production machine. And if I go for pay as you go model, the first thing is what I'm going to pay. So if I go to a reserved instance is nothing but I'm going to run this anyway for 1 year. So I'll take a reserved instance. So then it will save up to 72% of my cost. Let's say if I'm running that virtual machine for a year in pay-as-you-go model, I'm going to pay $100. So if I keep that as a reserved instance, if I keep that as a reserved instance for that total 1 year, then I'm going to pay only 28 rupees. If I go to pay as you go model, it is 100 rupees. If I go to reserved instant for that entire year for that virtual machine, I'm going to pay only 28 rupees. If I go with reserved instance and hybrid model, because I'm bringing my own license and I'm also keeping it reserved, in that case, I'm only paying 20 rupees. So if I go to pay as you go model and with Azure license, if I'm paying 100. If I going for a reserved instance and with a my license, then I'll be paying only 20 rupees. So I can save up to 80 rupees if I go with a reserved instance and then with my own license. So this is only for a specific scenarios. If you want that machine to run for a long time, then you will go for a reserved instances. Let's go to virtual machine image mobility. So what are images? Images are nothing but the images we use to deploy, right? So if you want to deploy a virtual machine, we need a image, right? Virtual machine images are nothing but either you can deploy the images from Azure, which you already have in your marketplace, or you can bring your own image. Let's say you have your image which is pre-installed with a lot of applications from on-prem. You can copy that image to Azure and you can put it in your marketplace. So introduction to disks and images. Generalized VM. VHDs to be provisioned. VM creation from image. I want to create a several VMs based on this model. So specialized VM is nothing but VHDs will be provisioned and it will be uploaded to Azure, right? So generalized VM is new VM which we are going to create. Specialized VM is already we have a VHD or a specified image and we are going to create a new VM out of it. So Azure Marketplace images. So what is Azure Marketplace image? So let's say I want to build a new virtual machine. So where will I go? I'll go to create a new virtual machine and then I'll have a set of pre-installed images in Azure. So I'll show you the difference. So I'll go here. I'll go to Home tab. So let's say I want to create a new resource, right? So virtual machine. Or what I'll say, I'll create a Windows machine. Or else you already have these machines, right? You see this Windows Server 2016 data center, Ubuntu, and these are the already pre-installed images in here. So let's say I want a Windows machine with SQL, SQL virtual machine. So I can add a machine, create a SQL virtual machine. The site is a bit slow. Let's wait for this to be completed. I think there is no deployments as well. Let's see. We'll try to refresh. I think I'm gonna have a question. Yeah, they charge for the OS and compute, which is provided. If it is Windows with your own license, they'll be giving a different pricing. I'll show you by creating a new virtual machine because the portal is unresponsive. That's the reason I may not be able to create a machine. But let's see if I can go to virtual machines and add. Let's give it a couple of minutes. I think it is not responding. So let's go back. So Azure Marketplace is nothing but they already have a pre-installed images in Azure, and you can pull one of the image from the pre-installed images. So these are the Azure provided images, right? So let's go to the next tab, next slide, that is custom images. Custom image is nothing but you bring your own VHD and then you create a image out of it. So nothing but you bring your own VHD from your on-prem and then upload it to Azure, and then you create an image out of it. It's a virtual machine again, but you have a VHD based virtual machine, and then you upload it to a blob storage, and then you create an image out of it. You can use that image to deploy hundreds of machines. That is nothing but Azure custom images. So next is disks and mobility. So on-prem and cloud. So you can bring your VSD and you can upload it to blob storage. By Storage Explorer, you can upload it to Azure. You have an upload option here. You can upload it to blob from your on-prem machine. So that can be done. So and you have to upload it to blob storage container. Bring your own image. It's a uploaded VHD to the blob storage. This is what I'm talking about. Bring your own image is nothing but you upload your VHD to blob storage and then create a disk image out of it and provision VMs through Azure portal. This is when you have a VHD of your own. So where are we? The next thing is tips on bringing your own VM, own image. So when you're trying to bring your own VM, you have to do a sysprep before making it a image. Sysprep is nothing but you're trying to take out the system name, usernames, and passwords, and you're trying to create a do not put unattended .xml on the disk. So that is not required. So you just have to do a sysprep, making sure that you are pulling out all the fixed components, that is a virtual machine name, a username and password for that machine, and any other fixed components for that virtual machine. So you're just trying to bring the image of that machine instead of the IPs or system name or username and passwords. Azure shared image gallery. Share your image to different users. So it's nothing but you put your VHDs in a shared image gallery and you will share that with your subscriptions through permissions on that VHDs. So that is nothing but you are sharing your image to different subscriptions by keeping it in a shared image gallery. So create a virtual machine from Azure portal based on a marketplace image. Let's go back to our portal and then let's see if I can create a new virtual machine. Virtual machine. Why is it too slow? Let me check on my subscription as well if it is the same. I'll go to home tab, click on what virtual machines, and I'll click on add. I think it's the same for all the accounts. Maybe it's Azure service maintenance which is going on. It is not responding for this. Let's try to create a new resource. Okay, so maybe we'll continue tomorrow on from where we have to deploy a virtual machine as the portal is not responding. So we'll give it some time. Maybe we'll try to finish off all the practicals which we have done till now. I'll give you the practicals for tomorrow. So yesterday's practicals, are they done with us till here? Install Storage Explorer on your machine and try to access storage accounts through different options. So this is one thing. I think this is pretty much it. Try to upload data through storage account and then download some data from Azure, right? So these are the two things maybe you can do for for today's lab, so that we can start our class tomorrow with creating a virtual machine and what are the options we have within the creation of virtual machine. Okay, any doubts guys till now? Let me